For making zeytun parvarde, we're going to start with a pan on medium-low heat and 1 cup of walnuts spread evenly across the bottom of the pan. Now you could also do this in the oven, but toasting the walnuts on the stovetop will give you more control. You'll be able to keep your eye on it, you'll be able to stir it more easily just to ensure that you get even heating all throughout. And now we just need to wait until we hear the crackling sound and for the smell of the walnuts to come out. We are going to put the toasted walnuts in a food processor to make it into a fine powder, but make sure before putting it into the food processor, you've allowed the walnuts to cool for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to put in about half a teaspoon of garlic powder to be processed in with the walnuts, but you can definitely use fresh garlic cloves. I just didn't have any on hand at the time of making this video, but normally I toss in 2 for this particular recipe. In a large bowl, we're going to start mixing in all of our ingredients, starting with 3 cups of pitted green olives. It's important that we taste one of the olives before using them in our recipe because some are more salty than others, and if they are salty, we're going to want to soak them in cold water for about an hour and then drain it and then use it. Now I'm adding about half a teaspoon of pepper, and if you have angelica powder on hand, go ahead and add about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Of course, with all of the spices, whether it's garlic, pepper, angelica, salt, it's according to your own taste. I'm just giving you the approximate amounts that I use in my recipe. Now, about a teaspoon of salt. Our ground walnuts go in. One-third of a cup of pomegranate syrup. You can use less, you can use more. The same applies for the pomegranate syrup. It adds a tartness to the zeytun parvarde. So if you want more or less, it's up to you. And I add about a tablespoon of olive oil. Our final ingredient is mint. I happen to have fresh mint on hand, so I just grabbed a handful, punched it up, and chopped it up really, really good and added it to the recipe. But if you don't have fresh on hand, that's completely fine. I normally use dried, and I would say just a teaspoon is enough. Again, that goes with the same rule as everything else in this recipe, excluding the olives and the walnuts, of course. It is up to you how much you want to add. And to be honest, even with the walnuts, some people like for the paste that this creates over the olives, they like for it to be more. So you could definitely grind more walnuts if you wanted to. And some people don't like it to be that much, so you could do less walnuts. It's really a very versatile, flexible recipe. Now all that's left to do is to mix it all up really, really good. We gotta grab one out to give it a taste test. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I mean by the paste. You see how the walnuts just mixed in with all the other ingredients and they're coating the olive? That's the paste. The final and quite frankly most difficult step of making zeytun parvarde is pouring your mixture into an airtight container, placing it into the fridge, and letting it stay there overnight. Technically, 8 hours I find is enough. Some would argue 24 hours, but even if you ate it right now as is, I promise it will be delicious. but you are going to be cutting yourself short by not letting it soak in the juices of the pomegranate juice and the spices that we used in the fridge. That'll give you the maximum flavor, maximum goodness. That is zeytoon parvarde. All of that paste will soak into the meat of the olives. So it's definitely worth it, promise. Just be patient. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I want to thank you for watching.